Hello, Orlando homeowners, and welcome back. My name is Rick Bosley. It is Wednesday at 12:15. You know what that means. We're going live here with the Orlando Homeowner Show. Today, we've got two of my favorite people I love doing business with, our preferred lender over at Waterstone Mortgage, Ryan Ashford, and Jen Ferreira with Fidelity National Title, because I want to answer the question for you guys. What exactly goes into your closing costs? We just know that there's a closing cost associated with buying and selling a house. We're going to find out exactly what it is. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, here we are, just like that. We're live. I'm going to change the background a little bit. It's a little bit distracting. Let's go to the, there we go, a little bit of light bulbs, or maybe the Bosley team brand. There we go. Get some Bosley team swag there. So thanks for joining us, Ryan and Jen. Jen, you've been here before on this show. You were with us when we were with the solar panel, right?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good information.
Perfect. I love that. And Ryan, this is their first time on the show, but you and I do frequent home buyers workshops together Thursday afternoons, and then your partner and boss over there at Waterstone, Dustin, was able to be featured a little bit.
Yep.
Right. Perfect. You know, as we go through YouTube, Dustin's little clip of what will interest rates do in 2021 so far is our highest viewed YouTube video. So you can help stroke Dustin's ego a little bit that he is winning the YouTube race. And so if someone else wants to win, go ahead and click and share that video if you want to win the YouTube race. But let's dive into it a little bit. I've got comments here. We've got 4 people watching so far. So if you're out there watching, I want to make sure that you are able to answer questions if it's specific to you or just generalized. Then let's take a look. Richard McKay, Richard McKay, what's up? He also says, hey, Ryan. So we got Richard viewing us here as well. So we're gonna break down closing costs. Now, when we generalize at a cocktail party and someone says, hey, how much is it going to cost to sell my house? Do you guys feel comfortable or safe enough to give a general range, or is it always just that fully loaded answer of it depends? Jen, why don't you go first? If someone says, if I want to sell my house, just do title, forget about all the real estate fees, what's it going to take for me to sell my house in terms of title work?
Yeah, I just basically just whip out my phone and do a quick next sheet. It takes me 30 seconds to actually do that. So I don't do a percentage.
Okay.
Yeah, not real safe for me to do that. A lot of the costs that are included when selling your home is going to be a lot different from if you're purchasing a home. So I don't use percentage. I just go ahead and say, hey, let me just get you a really good estimate, and I'll text it to you. So
and that's right from your app. Can anybody get that? I know I have it, and I use it. I mean, it's got to be my top 5 used app on my phone.
Awesome.
So what? Can anybody get that, or do you need to have a real estate license to get that?
You don't have to have a real estate license to do that. Actually, in that tool, in that app, there are tools for lead generation for real estate agents. So there's a nice cover photo that says, hey, what will I net if I sell my home? So it is, consumer interactive. It's lead capturing. So someone could click on that link, and it's going to open it up, and it's going to give a general idea. So it just depends on the agent, what's the commission amount? So, for a consumer to use it, I guess they could, but it's really geared towards, real
towards
estate
the agent to equip them the knowledge to create that sell on that sheet. So if our audience here today is a mixture of agents, but more so talking to the homeowners, do they just need to, can they get a net sheet from anybody, or can they have a general rule of thumb if they're just thinking about selling? And I won't hold you to whatever you say here, because this is going to be just truly curiosity. I've used a number about 2%, right? So your real estate agent, it might be, let's say 3% buy side to the buyer brokerage, 3% to the listing brokerage, 2% to the title, and assume it'll be about 8% to sell your house, give or take some variables. Is that a fair number to use if someone says, give me that like 10,000 foot view answer?
Yeah, with you, I guess it's a little bit easier because you can build on that percentage. But I like to have a more accurate figure.
Sure, yeah, no one's going to hold you to it, because it is, And so what are the variables going to be? If you say, I can't give you the number because it's going to vary with what you're doing, Ryan, I'm going to minimize you real quick, not because I don't like, just because we're talking with her. So what exactly are the variables that range from property to property that might change what closing costs will be? Is it price point? Is it taxes? Is it zip code? Is it county?
Yeah,
What are we looking at here?
it's definitely the price point. And then of course there's a formula for, you always have to pay a sales tax when you sell something or you buy something. So the progulated title insurance amount will change based upon the purchase price.
And that's progulated. I'm pretty smart, but that's not a normal word for me. So what is this, the estimated? Is this what progulated means?
Yeah, let's say it's a regulated cost.
Okay.
For title insurance. And basically that is determined from a formula that is your contract price. So you could say, hey, I'm going to sell my home for $500,000, but you accept an offer for $475,000. So your costs are going to go down.
Okay. So it does off of that. And is that just the same way real estate commissions vary off of sales price? It's because the work is the same for you. You're still doing the same title search. You're still doing ordering the survey. You're still clearing any HOA estoppels out there.
Right.
So it's more just that percentage that's a taxable rate almost.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at your app real quick and navigate what this is. If you're listening to this, because there's a good chance this might be broadcasted on the podcast, or maybe you're not in a spot that you can watch it. So I want us to talk through what people are looking at as well, and not just do it. But let's take a look. Where are we at? Add to the stream. There we go. Yeah. So if you can see this, I'm going to shoot over here to the sellers section. And John Maddox, I see you out there. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for stopping in. Not sure if you're still out there, but appreciate it. Okay, so here it says seller, and this is just the Fidelity Agent app. Now, a lot of title companies have apps like this or seller net sheets. Is this going to be, generally speaking, an apples to apples comparison that maybe there's not a Fidelity in their area yet they still use the seller net sheet? Can this be a good general rule of thumb, or is it dramatically different from title company to title company?
It can be different on some of the cost. We don't have a lot of junk fees. Basically, there's a title search, there's a lien search, there's title insurance, and then, of course, you've got your government charges, your doc stamps that have to be paid, and all that's based off of the purchase price, how it's figured. And the app does it for you.
Well, that's what I love it is I don't have to figure it out, because I'm not going to go through there and look, what the school tax rate is or all those there. So if we were to just put this in right now for an example, the loan type. Now, from selling standpoint, why do you care if it's conventional VA or FHA? Is this just data?
Yeah, definitely. So for FHA, you have to pay so even if you close on, let's say January 4th, you closed, FHA is going to charge you interest for that whole entire month, even though you paid it off. So yeah, it is. Yeah. So it just gives you a closer estimate of what it's going to be. So you can pick conventional, you can put the interest rate in, sometimes I zero that out, because it usually isn't a whole lot of interest, that has to be paid.
So if I'm a seller or a realtor and we get an FHA loan and they would like to close on January 3rd, if I really wanted to make, pinch my nickels, I would say, if we're going FHA, we're closing January 31st.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a very popular time to close at the end of the month or the beginning.
I like doing it in the middle because then they get to roll in their closing costs. They almost get like 57 days and no mortgage. All right, so sales price, let's say it's $325, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now as a good average and median. Brokerage fee will keep it 6%, but that's nothing to do with title. That's just what the listing agent talked about there. Yeah. Now, repairs is an option. Let's say they do have to put in there. Is this also to prepare for seller concessions?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, if they're going to come back and maybe say, that carpet is just horrible. Yep. And then, the seller's like, hey, I don't want to pick out somebody's carpet, but I want to give a carpet allowance. So you could call that a repair.
Any concession. And we just listed a house, and this had I'm going to bring you back in, Ryan, just 'cause I feel bad you're sitting on the sideline there. The house had like the 1980 wallpaper with the shag carpet, and it had the old brass kind of rickety thing. So going into it, I said, if we're going to get top dollar, we're going to be putting in $15,000 just to give this thing a big spruce. So I did put repairs there of $15,000.
Okay.
Because I was given
an
the
example.
estimate of going, this is what you've got to do if you want to get the sales price you choose to get. And actually, we'll use that as it, and it was a $250 sales price.
Okay.
Without those repairs, would have been closer to about $215, right? So that's that ROI for them. Yeah. Miscellaneous. What am I seeing here for miscellaneous?
So if like there's a the brokerage has a transaction fee, or the seller is going to pay for a home warranty, you go ahead and put that cost in there, because it'll itemize everything.
And they did pay for home warranty, so there we go. We'll move this there. Real estate tax.
Last year's taxes. And if you're on the desktop and you go up and you actually put in someone's address, which you don't have to do that now, but it will pull in the last year's taxes. And then it will also pull in an estimated payoff, which is coming. So if the taxes were $1,300 last year, it's going to prorate those taxes from January 1st until, in your case, you sold the house in 2 days and Ryan got the loan done on the buy side in like 1, and then we're closing. So
that's what's happening in the Orlando market right now anyway. So
yeah, I know.
I'm an average, right? And it varies. But usually when I can go 1.2% taxes, it gives me a good ballpark. Because what I usually do when I'm sharing what are the taxes is I'll look at last year's taxes with the taxable amount. I reverse that homestead. I do the math. Because which is a whole different conversation of, if you're buying a house, don't look at what the current homeowner paid in taxes, because they are locked in, especially if they're homesteaded. It will adjust when you pay it. Yet from selling it, we'll put 1.2. He owed like $85,000 on it.
Yeah. Well, the seller, just keep in mind, this is for the seller. Whatever their taxes are, they are. So to make it a better estimate, if it's $1,300, go ahead and put $1,300 in.
So you can just put the dollar amount here. So let's say it was $3,500. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So that's the best if I can give the exact number on there, because then we can prorate it.
Definitely, yeah.
Because what's happening, if we closed a house today on January 15th, the taxes are already in motion. We're going to close on it. Essentially, the buyer's going to pay those taxes come November, even though the seller lived in it for 15 days. So you would take, 1/25 of that and prorate it back. So that's how taxes are paid there as a debit and credit for buyer and seller. Interest rate, this talks about if they have a loan balance, what is their current interest rate? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So then we just commute it. If you're listening right now, then it's doing some awesome math here, and essentially it says you've got your sale price, you've got the balance of what you owe on the loan, your taxes that you'll pay based off of proration, your total closing cost of all the fees, doc stamps, and we can actually go to a detailed closing cost here, and that's where we see title policy, search fee, closing fee, transaction fee, lien search. Now, is this actually what they're shopping for when they were to shop to different title companies?
All right. So the title policy is regulated with the state of Florida. We all use a calculator. Search fee, closing fee, those can all be shopped for. But just to keep in mind, Fidelity does not lose a deal over cost. We want to earn everyone's business.
Write that down, everyone.
Yeah. Nope. You call Jen. I'll make sure you're happy. But basically, a company charges us to create these searches, and we are passing on that information. One thing in there that you can also add under miscellaneous is an estoppel fee. If you live in a community that has a gate, or you pay an association fee, we have to pull a report and make sure there are no violations, and that your payments are up to date.
The seller pays for that.
Yeah, the seller does pay for that, and it is typically around.
HOAs get you good. You got to pay to get the report in the back end. You got to pay to be let into the front end.
I know. There's a transfer
HOAs,
fee.
they're like, we're getting paid.
Hey, you should have opened up an HOA company. So you can also add that into the cost, which is going to reduce your net at the end. And if you get out of that and you actually go down to view in a PDF, like exit out of that and then go down and hit view, you'll come up with a really nice professional branded report. So that's something that you can email to your client and say, hey, just keep in mind, this is an estimate. Your payoff might be different.
There we go.
So just, there's several different options.
And this is the sheet I use for compliance because before we list any house, we have to let the seller know what their expected closing costs are going to be, the estimated net sheet. And I just do this and I don't have to do any math. So
that's awesome.
So let me ask you a final question, then we'll jump over to the buyer side. In the state of Florida, it is a custom or a default that the seller pays for title and the seller chooses title. Yeah. If a buyer were to come in and say, you know what, I'm going to pay for title, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, they're not losing all of these title fees because they're still going to pay those doc stamps and the recording fees. What exactly transfers over to the buyer if they were to choose and pay for title?
So it listed on the contract. I don't know if you have an as-is contract up and handy, but I don't want to state the wrong thing on what they're being charged. But everything is negotiable. Let's put it that way. It's a contract. You want somebody.
What we want to iterate is it's not the entire. There's still going to be closing costs for a seller.
Right. You still have your
whatever that number is.
Exactly. Everyone still has their each side of a closing fee. So it would just whatever the contract dictates. Everything is negotiable.
That's a very PC. You've been trained on live video. Like, let's just defer to the contract. And I am not a realtor, or I'm not an attorney, so we cannot talk about the contract. That is true. And so if you ever ask any of us who aren't a licensed attorney, then the correct answer is consult an attorney because I cannot interpret a contract. I can merely give it to you and let you read it and interpret for yourself.
That's right.
So
exactly.
Thanks for that, Jen.
Yes. Hey, like someone likes their drapes. You can negotiate that. I really want your drapes. Don't take them.
If they're fixed to the wall, they're going to stay there anyway, right? Sidebar, if you're selling your house, if you need a tool to remove it, it's part of the house and it stays with the house. A common thing we see is people have a mounted TV. The TV is property of the seller. The mount is property of the buyer because it's fixed to the wall. So keep that in mind that if you want to also take your mount or your shelves that are fixed to the wall, they're not yours unless you separate it out in that condition. So there's a little bit of sidebar. If you need a tool to remove it, it's part of the house. So technically, if I hang a picture, the picture's mine, but the nail inside of the wall is not, because I need a tool to remove that.
Yeah, so you're saying don't pull it off and then make a big hole because you're going to cause more problems.
Yeah, we see that a lot with security cameras, the Nest, a lot of these video features. People are the day of, they're going, hey, this used to have the Nest and used to have all sorts of surveillance, and now it's got nothing. It's got the old school. Technically, they are in breach of contract because that's fixed to the house.
Right.
So then you just decide how much do you really want that Nest that you're willing to delay close. Hey, Ryan. So Jen, thank you so much for that. And I hope, I trust if you were out there listening, at least gave you a glimpse. And here's the bottom line. If you're a homeowner right now, contact me because you saw how quick that was. And really quickly, you're not putting me out. I can do a quick seller net sheet and let you know if you were to sell it at this price, this is what it could be. And we can play with those numbers to make them work for you. So that'll be a great tool. Jane, thanks for the tool because you make me look good. Hey, Ryan, you know what's cool about her tool as well?
What's that?
I'm going to bring it back up here. There's a buyer section. And so it's also a tool that we've used for buyers in terms of the calculation of a conventional loan with a $300,000 price point, and you're doing 5% down with an interest rate. Are we seeing interest rate still about 2.875, Ryan? Is that a good one for today?
That's a good one.
For a 30-year term, and then blah, 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 and it computes that for me. So, Jen, can Ryan get this app as well? Or is this only for realtors?
It gives refinance quotes as well. So if Ryan's completing a refinance and he's like, I really need to reach out to Jen to get an estimate so I can disclose to this client, he can just put his information in and like he can save it. I mean, I know he has his own tools and his own software, but if you're on the run, how long's, what's it going to cost me to refi, Ryan? And then you can just simply whip out that app and put your information in and store. If you have a lender fee, you can make it stick. You're not going to charge origination, take it out.
The show wasn't intended to be a Fidelity Agent One app brag session, but I guess it kind of is. Yeah. So that concludes the show. Just download the app. No, Ryan, let's talk about the buy side a little bit. Jen, sure. I'm gonna shoot you down to at least put Ryan on top. There you go. Now he's on top. Talk to us, because I've also given a rule of thumb of 1.5% to 2% on closing costs. So if they're buying a $300,000 house and they're going to put 10% down, well, there's $30,000 plus another 2% is $6,000, and that's my take this as a rule of thumb, not a to the bank. Am I way off, or is that a pretty accurate conservative guess?
2 to 4%, depending on what the prepaids are. Yes.
So it could go as high as 4%. So let's break those down a little bit, because what goes into a closing cost? There's going to be the appraisal's part of the closing cost. The inspection's on their own dime.
Yep.
The survey is going to be part of the closing costs.
Yes.
That you guys need. And then prepaids. When we talk about prepaids, it is prepaying your insurance and your taxes for a full year.
That's correct.
Do they need to actually pay that to build in that escrow account for that full year? Is that, because that seems like it's a pretty big chunk of money when you think about.
So they'll usually pay 12 months of homeowners insurance and usually about 2 months for taxes.
So 12 months of insurance, and let's say insurance right now is about $2,000. So they're going to say, hey, I need $2,000. That's actually not a sunken cost. You're just paid your insurance in advance.
Correct.
So some people feel like this is money I owe and it's gone. It's actually not. They're just making sure that you're going to you're building your escrow account because it's built into your mortgage. If I don't build in my taxes and insurance to my escrow and my mortgage payment, do I still owe that?
Not during the purchase, no. And the only way you can do that, I think, is to put 30. You have to put 30% down.
Okay, so if I put 30% down, then I don't have to include my taxes and insurance with my monthly. Otherwise, my monthly, what we call PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, includes all of that from my month lump sum.
Yes.
Say that 10 times fast. Monthly lump sum. Okay, and then you said taxes are 2 months?
Taxes, you're paying 2 months, correct? Yes. 2
months. So if the tax in that example we just used were $3,600 a year, then I would have $600 in taxes. Yep. I'd have $2,000 in insurance, and there's $2,600 on my $250 price point. Well, that's 1% right there.
Correct.
Now that's not always the way it works, because I could have a log cabin in the middle of nowhere that doesn't have a fire department within 10 miles, and it's going to be $7,000 in insurance. I learned that through. Anyways, it's a different story. What else is going into closing costs, Ryan?
Sure. So there's always an origination fee. When the origination fee is going to include, application processing, underwriting, everything that kind of goes into the nuts and bolts of putting the loan together from our side. I've seen them from $1,200 up to $1,600.
And that's essentially because you've got to get paid. Everyone's got to earn a living. And we won't go into this. Something I did learn, and this is a little bit, I don't know if you wanted me to say it or not, but I will. I learned that even loan officers in the same company can have different rates, because oftentimes you can dictate the rate you give out and it takes away from the compensation you receive. But there is a choice that loan officers have. And I don't know if I want to say that, because not everyone should beat up who it is, because you also get what you pay for. But that was something that when you shared it with me, I had no idea that you could go in there and choose your rate.
We can choose our comp plan, and our pricing is based off of that.
Yeah. So oftentimes when you buy down a point for a customer, it's coming out of your pocket through your commission.
Correct.
Which isn't the goal. No.
It's actually not. It's coming through the company.
Through the company. Okay. Cool. But that was good for me to know, because not every company, nor not every loan officer within the company is created equal. So, and we've always shared this on our home buyers workshops of interview your loan officer. They are your business partner. They are your transaction partner. You have to have rapport. You have to have trust. You have to have accessibility. And you've got to have good rates professionalism. Ryan, in the past 18 months, you've done 2 for me, one sale and or one purchase and one refi. So thank you and appreciate you. So you're welcome. So what else is going into closing costs then? I'm a buyer and I'm paying these closing costs 2 to 4%. We know 1% ish is taxes and insurance. We know about another 0.5 to 1% is processing fees. What else are we talking about?
So you're going to have prepaid interest for the month that if you're moving in mid-month, you have prepaid interest.
Okay.
You're going to have any discount points. If you're buying down points, that'll be included in there.
Is that common that people are buying down points even with these historically low interest rates?
A little bit, yeah. Sometimes it's pretty inexpensive to go down a 1/4 point.
Yeah.
If it's inexpensive, then it makes sense. If not, then obviously it doesn't.
Well, and I love that because I've looked under the hood of your cool system you've got. Jen, he's got a cool system too, so I don't want you to leave you out, Ryan. But you can put in the type of loan, you can put in the interest rate, and then you can actually see the graph that says if you just pay $4,000 more, your interest rate goes here. But to get the next 1/8 of a point, it might cost you $12,000. Why is that, Ryan? Why is not all points created equally when you're looking at these buyers?
So there's actually times where a higher rate is more expensive than a lower rate, and it's basically Wall Street is purchasing these mortgages, and they're saying we're willing to pay this at this price, and that's just what this rate is owned by these people, and that's how we basically get our fees. I mean, that's how we get our rates.
So that surprised me as well, because you'd think everything would just be symmetrical. It costs you this much per point. Well, that's just not true. And the answer is, well, let's see what it is today for
Correct.
this loan. There's never a number that we can do for it. The other thing that always comes into at least the PITI that we forget is the M, or I guess the other P, the PMI, right?
Right.
PITIM. No, PITIP. This is live, folks. This is live.
Good stuff.
When we pay mortgage insurance, I've had one mortgage insurance on a house that was way higher than I ever wanted. And then my next house, it was way lower, even though I put the same percent down. What is the variable on the PMI percentage that one would pay? Is it interest? Is it down payment? Is it a combination of both? Is there a third thing?
Nope, that's it. It's what is your well, it's actually number of buyers or number of people on the loan, because that mitigates risk.
Okay.
There's 2 people versus 1.
Okay.
What are your credit scores?
Okay.
Tells me your history. And then how much skin do you have in the game? How much did you put down? Those are the 3 deciding factors. So you could have a house for $300,000. Somebody with great credit by themselves goes in and they're paying, let's say they put 15% down. Okay. They put 15%, maybe they're paying $50 a month in mortgage insurance. Same house. Yep. Somebody with horrible credit, 2 buyers. Let's just say give 2 buyers. They could be paying $250 to $300 if they have bad credit, and they put 3% down or 5% down.
Yeah, so that's something to. So if you can put your spouse on the loan and it doesn't hurt you, it will at least likely help you if they have an income that outweighs their debt. If they don't have an
income, sometimes.
If they don't have the income, okay. So that's good to do when you're shopping at different rates. Ask these questions to your loan officers that says, if I put them on, how can I adjust the PMI? If I were to be at a 700 instead of a 690, what does that do to my rate and my percentage there? There's different ways that you can just make a couple tweaks and improve yourself, improve the confidence that Wall Street has in you as a buyer, which is going to lower those costs out there. Shop for insurance. Taxes, you're not going to change, but it's important that you know about portability tax and homestead exemptions. So we'll talk about that later. Hey guys, time's flying when you're having fun, and it's already 12:46, and we promised everyone out there a 30-minute show. If I were to just kind of recap this whole thing, and I know that Ryan, she got more time. I am sorry.
Okay.
On the buy side, 2 to 4%, and it could vary, but we really got to understand what is going into that 2 to 4%. Jen, on your side, yes, there's variables. We've got an app. If you were to say 2%, you're going to say if you need just a ballpark pie in the sky, use it. But really, it doesn't take a whole lot of work and effort to put in the details to get a very accurate number based on taxes and everything else out there.
Definitely.
Whew, there's a lot of information. Hopefully you got it out there. Any final thoughts or questions when you're talking to people who want to sell or want to buy out there when they're thinking about their financing and their budget for their closing costs? Final words, guys. No, that was it. We addressed it all.
We addressed it.
We addressed it.
Call Rick.
Well, then that's it for now. Let's see. Next week, I believe we've got your boss, Jen. We've got Susan West. We're talking about how's the market every third Wednesday of the month. We go over the analyzing the numbers. We've got a regional vice president of Fidelity National Title joining us, talking about what's happening in terms of the market. And January is here. The election's gone. The new year's gone. So we'll see what impact we've had. Until then, thanks for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe to Facebook or YouTube, or if you're listening to this on podcast after the fact, that helps as well. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Ryan. Everyone have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.